Hi, everyone. Welcome to the final episode of 2020. I'm assuming everyone's favorite year. This is episode 206. I'm your host, Chris Sands. And today I'm joined by, I would say, the renowned George Burton from Black Flag Brewing Company.
Chris, thank you so much for having me on. Glad we could be spending a little bit of the holiday season together, chatting about what we both love so much.
Yes, not only is this going to be the last episode of 2020, we're recording this on Christmas Eve. It's such a special event.
It's a good day for a beer and a chat, if you ask me.
And I didn't pour anything beforehand since I've been rushing because I was ill prepared for today.
I think we're off to a good start.
I think so. We're doing great. You are, at least. And
I appreciate
that's the beauty of this. At least my guests keep things on track for me during this. So I know you kicked off with an IPA.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to kick off with the this is a pretty new sour, right? The cranberry lime ginger sour.
Yeah, we just dropped that one last week. It went into distro. It's a little bit of a variant on our lime sour, which has been really popular for us. But we wanted to do a little holiday riff. You know, sours these days do pretty well year round, but obviously the summer months and the warmer months do better. So we're like, yeah, we need to do a kettle sour, but let's do one that's a little more holiday theme. So we kind of went for that the classic lime spritzer drink with cranberry and ginger. So it drinks pretty light, really clean. It's a good sipper.
There is a unmistakable aroma of lime coming off of this bad boy.
Cool.
How many pounds of lime did you put into this?
Honestly, I don't really know. We use our lime from Araza up out of Hagerstown.
I'm very familiar with them. He's actually been on before. Great guy.
We honestly, their lime puree is, I think, what has made like our lime sour series. It's just so consistent. It's like very bright and acidic. It adds a ton of tartness to the base beer. So we've just been digging it. So yeah, we use their lime. We use some cranberry, and we added a little bit of like a ginger soda kind of flavoring to it to give it a little bit of that nice little undertone pop.
How many pounds of cranberry?
I don't actually know the weights on the fruits for that.
Damn it, George!
Here's the thing. For the puree bombs, right? I feel like fruit weight matters a lot more. That one's more trying to be like a cleaner goes. So it's not a very fun number. I'll be honest with you.
I don't know.
I'm glad it's expressing well.
I'm purely trying to bait you into because you've been seen.
I'm infamous for calling or for requesting people's weights on their fruited puree. Yeah. Guilty as charged.
I poured it way too aggressively, so I can't even get a drink yet. The head is ridiculous. So I'll report on the flavor.
Getting a good head on the gozes and the kettle sours can be kind of tough with all that acidity. You got to use quite a heavy protein malt base in the mash. So good to hear that the head's looking nice.
Well, I mean, I can't tell for sure because I decided to drink this out of a horn.
Cool. I was fortunate where my Black Flag snifter was ready to go. So,
but I wanted to
keep it on brand.
I went to take a drink and there's nothing but head there. So I assume if I could see through this,
10% liquid. It would be the equivalent of a 2020 pour.
Yes,
it'd be the classic 2020 pour meme.
Which I would like to drink out of the 2020 glass that you guys made, but
thanks for picking that one up.
That unfortunately is in my office, so I cannot enjoy out of that. So I will enjoy out of a horn.
I think it's seasonally appropriate. I'm into it.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? I don't even remember now. You don't know the poundage of fruit in this beer. So let me down there.
Yep. We'll see if I can go 0 for 10 today.
Yeah. So can you tell me, what do you do for Black Flag?
Yeah, I technically, at this point, I am the sales manager. So I do all of our self-distro into Moco. I am the person of contact for our distributor Backup Beverage, who does the rest of Maryland, including the Eastern Shore. up in the north, the south. I mean, quite literally the toll of Maryland outside of Moco. On top of that, I help in our like production scheduling. I kind of come up with the majority of our beer concepts and a lot of the design of like, the hop varietals, what kind of fruits we're adding, the timing on when beers should be released based on seasonality and things like that. Kind of just working with the head brewer and kind of putting that schedule together. So yeah, really kind of sales management, creative direction, kind of that bag, so to say.
So a jack of all trades.
Somewhat. It's a small business, so
I was going to say, like any small business.
Yeah, I deliver as well. I deliver to Moco when need be, usually once every other week or whatnot. So yeah, honestly, however I can help out. I do pack out sometimes when we're a man down in the brew house. So yeah, whatever need to be done. That's kind of why I like it though. It just keeps it super dynamic. I'm doing something different every day.
This beer is absolutely delicious.
Cool.
It feels ridiculous drinking out of a horn. But I just got this from Dan at Full Tilt. So
cool. Yeah,
I don't think I've never drank out of a horn before. So my sister got me one once. It's on the shelf behind me somewhere. Maybe I'll get it during a break. Where it's like some kind of customary Scottish bowl that's for drinking stuff out of, but it's more like the cereal bowl hazy IPA.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's like
the fishbowl glass.
Yeah, yes. It's a bowl made out of horn with some silver around it.
That's cool, though. I like it.
But this is just apparently straight horn from Ale Horn, I guess is the company that makes it. But the beer is absolutely delicious. I like that. Despite knowing the pound
pretty light and crisp. Not like a super heavily fruited goes. I mean, it is a goes, so a little bit of that nice crisp saltiness in there.
It has the perfect amount of solidity. I don't like the ones where you're drinking and you feel like you just got out of the ocean.
Yeah, or like I need to drink a glass of, which I do recommend drinking a glass of water after every beer, but I don't want to feel like I have to.
Yeah.
Essentially,
all the moisture hasn't been sucked out of your body from this. I just feel like I'm getting some extra electrolytes.
Cool. Yeah.
Preparing myself for the long haul of this interview.
It's good. End the day. I mean, I'm sure you got some drinking to do tonight. It is Christmas Eve after all.
To get through the rest of the day with my kids asking every 10 minutes if they can open a present will definitely require some alcohol, I think.
Cool.
So when you're coming up with the beer concepts and ideas that you're pitching to them, what are you basing that on? Or like watching trends of what people are doing, basing it and you're obviously, since you're doing the sales too, you're getting a lot of feedback from your customers, the customers being the stores, restaurants, bars.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of just starts with what makes sense for like our tap room and what our customers like. And I mean, what does well in our tap room generally translates to what does well out on store shelves as well. But I generally start with like a concept, and then we kind of base it around like a price point. So it's like, hey, we want to make this beer and we want it to be X amount of flavorful or like X amount of ABV or, whatever kind of stats we want the beer to have. We kind of plan that out. And then it's like, okay, like how do I make the most exciting beer that I think is going to taste the best at a price point that satisfies people? Because for example, like a lot of our hazies, we try to do the $15, $16 4-pack, which is a little bit pricey for craft beer, but in the grand scheme of like popular hype local hazies, $15, $16 isn't too bad. So I think there's a really fine balance between making like an exciting beer with a fun concept that attracts people, while also creating it to be flavorful enough without having these $20, $24 4-packs. Generally our goal is to just find a really price effective recipe that we know will excite people and be affordable, and kind of fit the motif that we've kind of set up over the past few years.
I haven't paid close enough attention. Have you guys hit that $22 4-pack yet?
So
it seems to be becoming a
for sure,
much more common occurrence.
Yeah, Black Mage, if I'm not mistaken, is a $25 4-pack, but
Okay.
mind you, that's a 12.5% maple bourbon barrel aged stout. So
Yeah, that doesn't
realistically, it's
count.
kind of cheap.
Yeah,
The
that's almost
second
unrolled.
highest would be our barley wine cuvee, the Diamonds on Your Timepiece. That was $22.
Okay.
And then most recently, and I think we've had one or two in the past, our hazy triple IPAs are generally $20 a 4-pack. So we have some taproom only beers that don't see very much distro at all. And those do get around $18, $19, $20 a 4-pack. But as far as things we distribute, I don't think we've had anything, unless a store was taking an extra dollar for whatever reason. I don't think we've had anything really more than $18 a 4-pack for some of our doubles. But yeah, the $16, $17, $18 4-pack, I think, is where Black Flag kind of wants to max out, unless it's something very special or barrel aged or something crazy.
It just seems to become like slowly becoming the default price point, though. So many releases are falling in that $18 to $22 range.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I understand it. It's expensive, some of these beers that people want. I mean, it's a lot of hops. It's a lot of fruit. And another layer to it is it's a lot of risk. When you start putting all these ingredients in a beer, the risk of something not coming out correct increases, which means, it's just a riskier beer to brew. When we brew a batch of Zemo or Flagship, it's pretty reliable that the end product's going to be pretty much what we wanted. Relatively simple recipes. We've been brewing them for a while. If we're doing like a
positive on your costing, you're like,
exactly. Yeah. We know what dosing is going to do what, but when we make some of these crazy sour IPAs and add fruit, you add hops, you add vanilla, you add blah, 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 it complicates the process and increases the risk as well as just the cost of ingredients. So
I remember when I first started drinking craft beer, though, like going to the store and like, I can't believe I'm paying $12 for a 6-pack.
Right. Yeah.
To where I am now.
For sure, man. When I first got kind of into craft beer, when I was working at Red in Clarksville, it was like the first craft beer store I was working at. They had Unita Double Detour, and it was a 9% double IPA. And this thing was $8.99 for a 6-pack. And I was like just getting into IPAs. It was pretty old on the shelf and just an absolute malt bomb. But at the time, I was making $13 an hour. That was the absolute perfect beer for me. It was really hoppy. It was really flavorful, and you got 6 of them for $9. It was crazy.
What's the most money you've ever spent on one beer purchase? Bottle, 4-pack, or a 6-pack?
That's interesting. The most I've ever spent, probably. I think I spent like $70 on a Cantillon bottle at Max's Belgian Fest last year.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that would probably be the most I've spent on beer. I think I've spent like $150 on a whiskey bottle. But those are rare for me. I'm not gonna lie. I drink a lot of free beer. I buy a lot of draft beer. I buy a lot of beer out, but I'm not a huge sit at home and drink really nice beer kind of guy. I like it more as that kind of social aspect. I really do. I kind of like going out and chatting with people, drinking beer that other people are making that they're excited about. I like to get excited about what other people are doing. So
I've never had beer from Cantillon.
They generally are pretty special, but like many things, the hype creates a weird scenario where sometimes I just want to enjoy something and not think about it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do with beers like that. It's really hard to do that with a beer you're spending like $70, $80 on. For me, other people might be different, but
I bought a bottle of Utopias once.
Ooh, cool.
Complete waste of money.
Really? Okay. I've tried it a few times. I like it, but yeah, I don't think I dropped like 250 bones on it.
I didn't even like it. That was the worst. And I enjoy it more now.
Okay, yeah.
But this was back in like 2009-ish.
Oh yeah, my palate wouldn't have any clue what to do with something like that.
And mine did not.
I was drinking You Need a Double Detour. I didn't have time for something that fancy.
So like I took one sip of it. I was like, this is awful. Like that was a complete waste of money. So then for the longest time, like people would come over and I would offer them like a snifter, I gave them like Glencairns or tasting.
Yeah, a little dram.
And like they're like, I can't believe you're letting me try this or have some. I was like, yeah, what can I say? I'm generous.
I'm a nice guy. What do you?
Not that.
Yeah, it's like the people that leave like the Miller Lights in the back of the fridge for guests. Like, nah, Chris, he just leaves a Utopia in the back of the fridge for the guests. No big deal.
Yeah, so that I would that falls squarely into wasted money though.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would say I didn't even enjoy that much. I would think the next most expensive was I bought Tactical Nuclear Penguin from Brewdog.
Mm-hmm.
Was that or was which one was 41%? It was either Sink the Bismarck or Tactical Nuclear Penguin. I can't. They both came out at the same time, and I can't remember which one I ended up buying.
Did it just taste like straight grain alcohol?
Basically, yeah. It wasn't. It was like that one was like $40, I think, and it was the same. It was thankfully back then. Like there was someone. Both of us both got into craft beer at the same time, and we split. Like all of our beer purchases, we
it's also one of those things you tried it,
Yeah.
I haven't actually tried one of those like heavily fortified beers yet, which kind of surprises me, but I haven't really
not fortified. Fortification is illegal.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
Oh yeah, you can't like a barrel aged beer, you can't just like add in they
must be like 12-hour mashes or something.
No, cold distilling.
Okay.
So they take the beer, they freeze it, run out so what's left is alcohol, and then they take out what's frozen, which is the water, and they just keep doing that over and over again until it's concentrated.
Cool. I'm waiting for a local to do that.
Now Utopias though, that is just there's a ridiculous amount of grain. It's a really long mash, and
it's probably like they might even like double mash or something.
Yeah, but when Brewdog was doing those crazy high ABVs, they were cold distilling them.
That's like the snake venom beer as well, right? Is the same situation.
What percentage was it?
That one I think is like even higher. It's like the most juicy beer in the world.
Yeah, it has to be done through the same process. Cool. I don't think you could possibly just brew a beer that.
I don't think the yeast can stay healthy.
Yeah,
or something like that. There's like certain strains can do better, but yeah, there's a certain breaking point.
Yeah, because even champagne yeast dies out in like 20 some, right?
So this is why I'm the sales guy. Yeah. Right? I'm not sure.
I don't even work for a brewery.
You're teaching me today, yeah.
But we're going to take a real quick sponsor break.
Cool.
And then we get back. Let's talk about some of the things that Black Flag has going on, because they always have something exciting going on.
Always something in the pipeline for sure.
Yep. Cool. So we'll be right back.
If you haven't heard about our beer dinners, well, now you have. Typically, the last Tuesday of each month, we partner with a local brewery and craft an exclusive 5-course dinner. Each course is thoughtfully paired with some of the finest craft beer available. You'll meet the brewery, enjoy memorable pairings and service, and have a damn good time. Like us on Facebook to stay in the know when tickets become available, because they will sell out quick.
Idiom Brewing Company proudly offers a delicious variety of beers to satisfy the most discerning tastes. Best known for their wide array of IPAs, delicious fruited sours, and robust porters and stouts, Idiom prides themselves on continuing to innovate, utilizing new and experimental hops, local ingredients, and unique flavor profiles. Idiom has a simple goal in mind: to bring people from all walks of life together to enjoy themselves and each other. Idiom Brewing Company is located in downtown Frederick, just south of the intersection of East Street and East Patrick Street, with ample seating and directly on Carroll Creek. Uncapped is brought to you with support from Mcclintock Distilling, Maryland's first and only organic certified distillery. They are well known for their award-winning gin and are rapidly growing a name for themselves for their Matchstick Bourbon and Bootjack Rye Whiskey that have both won double gold at international spirits competitions. You can visit them in historic downtown Frederick along Carroll Creek for tours and tastings. Go to mcclintockdistilling.com for more information. All right, so we've had Brian on in the past. Everyone says you're the way more interesting person. So
wow,
that's why we're
kind of them.
So that's why we're talking.
Lying. To be fair, that is why I was hired, so I feel okay about that. If I wasn't too interesting, I probably wouldn't be doing a good job.
So he gave us the whole story about the although actually I think I forgot all of it.
Me too.
And for some reason I'm incapable of remembering where the name Black Flag came from.
So I think It was, which I like this story because it's kind of a good irony that I think everyone appreciates, even though it's like kind of a bash on the company. Black Flag was, I think originally it was to wave the black flag and go against convention, to just essentially that old saying of waving the black flag and kind of, walking to the beat of your own drum, which is funny because now we just, produce kettle sours and hazy IPAs and, big dessert stouts. So, but I guess if you're going to beat the drum of the people, just beat it louder than everyone else. So we've been trying to do a good job and make exciting beers that are trendy. And hopefully we're doing a good job to compete with other people producing the same styles that are popular.
Now, the thing is, though, you definitely prefer malty beers, right? Malty or the Crispy Boys.
100%. That is it's a very new shift for me. When I first started working at Black Flag, almost 4 years ago now, I pretty much exclusively drank like hazy IPAs and IPAs and stouts. But yeah, more and more, and I would say really the start of this year, the shift kind of got pushed to the limits, even where like now, like, yes, I absolutely like crave like big Belgian malted beers, a little less stuff that's adjuncted. So crisp lagers and stuff, not as much fruit, not as much sugary stuff.
Yeah.
That being said, I genuinely still like fruit puree beers. Like, give me 4 ounces, give me 8 ounces in a glass, and I'm going to love it while drinking a lager. But a lot of the heavy dessert stouts are kind of wearing on me these days. If it's barrel aged and super high ABV to where like 6 ounces is almost all you need, super into it. I love kind of sharing those type of beers. But yeah, if I'm like going out to drink, I want like an ESB and like amber lager and like a Pilsner and, something along those lines.
I think that's what it is. I need to stop saying I dislike stouts because I often say that. And it's not that I dislike them. And I think what you just said is a perfect example. I can sit and enjoy a stout with other people, but I don't think I would ever in my life sit down on the couch to watch football or something and reach for a dessert stout.
It's too much, man. Yeah. It literally makes me sleepy. Like, I'm not even joking. All the sugar just makes me sleepy these days. And an example of like a stout that I genuinely really do enjoy, Elder Pine's Chin Chin. It's like a dry Irish stout, and it just has like a really rich, complex malt kind of backbone to it. Not too roasty, but just really clean, 7%. So not huge, but by no means small. And it kind of just checks all the boxes of what I want in just like a stout to drink. So
Rockwell has a great Irish stout too.
Cool.
So does Jugbridge makes some good stouts.
Awesome, yeah.
But
yeah, I think
I'm never gonna just go pick up a bunch of stouts and sit around and enjoy them.
Like, the reason we make dessert stouts, it's not necessarily because like everyone at Black Flag just loves dessert stouts. But when you just look at how things sell, dessert stouts sell super well. So, what do we do? Just make a normal stout over and over again that might do okay? Or do we make a stout that like people are buying and getting excited about? So, it's all a balance. We try to I feel like Black Flag does a decent job at having like pretty simple traditional beers, but also making some of the stuff that is more fun and whimsical and modern. But it's a balance, because I like drinking malty stuff, and we don't do a ton of malty stuff, but there's enough fluttering here and there where I'm pretty happy with it.
I feel like Black Flag has recently is probably like in the last year now, because I have no concept of time anymore.
Yeah, it's the last year is a long year.
Goodbye 2020. Last episode 2020. Next year is going to be amazing. See, I should have you on next year. Then we could
save it for next year.
We could have celebrated.
We recorded January 1st, guys. No problem.
Yeah. That you guys have leaned more towards the whimsical, fun type of craft beer world than you had previously. Is that actually no? I guess maybe you kind of always were.
I would say it, for me, like being on the inside, it doesn't feel like it's changed much. I think the sheer volume of beer we're putting out has changed dramatically, and the sheer number of SKUs has changed dramatically.
And I think maybe that's what it is. That it's just there's always something new. So
yes, it definitely. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep up. We release like a new beer almost every week. Sometimes it's a big hazy double IPA. Sometimes it's just like our vanilla porter. But we always have like a new beer coming around. So I think and maybe that's the goal, is optically it looks like, oh, Black Flag always has something new and exciting. And the hope is that it's always new and exciting. But, at least we're kind of able to convey that to people, that it's like, oh, keep your eyes peeled. Something is on the way, even if it's not the most exciting thing that week. And it's getting competitive. Like I hate to say it, but like the sheer quality of beer is almost secondary to like having the imagery and the excitement behind it, because pretty much everyone's making pretty damn good beer in the state right now. Like, yeah, there might be some breweries that I prefer or I think are consistently doing a little bit better, but like everyone's doing a pretty good job at making good, clean beer. So it's like, okay, if everyone's making good, clean beer, how do you sell your good, clean beer better than someone else? And that's where it comes down to kind of those optics and trying to like be an important kind of member of the community as well.
Yeah, when everyone is like that's a really good point. When everyone's making really good beer, you have to do something to stand out. Like at that point, you can't just survive on like having good beer isn't good enough. Like, or even if you have great beer, that's not necessarily good enough, because they're like Maryland beer has matured enough that there are a long list of breweries in Maryland just creating amazing beer and doing the same thing Black Flag is doing, releasing something new every week, sometimes multiple things every week. And it's been exhausting to try to keep up with that.
For sure, man. It really does get a little exhausting. And I think that's where consistency has mattered a lot. And I've seen a lot of our fans say that. They feel like we've been very consistent. Like, you don't really get too many beers from us that are kind of whiffs.
That's a good point, because there are definitely some breweries in Maryland that make amazing beer,
right?
But it's kind of analogous to that home run hitter. Like they go up and they swing for the fence on every single one, and sometimes they hit a fly ball, but when they hit it, it's a grand slam.
For sure. Yeah, it's I think the public has also kind of been honest in the perception of how everyone's advanced. I think like a year ago, people would have had an easier time making a claim on who they think is the best in the state. But it's like every day, I think it gets harder and harder to make that claim.
I would refuse to answer that question. I don't think there is anyone that makes the best beer in Maryland.
Right. And I think it's on top of that, in another layer, I think we're getting to a point where brands kind of have to really hone in on what not only their skill set is, and that might not even be the right word at all, but almost like what their customer demand is. Like, hey, what have we done that we've done well that people want more of? And how do we segue like our production and what we do to ensure that we're like meeting that demand, we're advancing that initial idea and really giving the people what they come to our brewery for, And if you're someone like Black Flag, that's probably a hazy IPA. If you're Elder Pine, that might be a really good Saison or a killer lager. If it's Full Tilt, it might be that next crazy candy jam. But I think the breweries that really hang on to that and pay attention to like, this is what people want. Let's just keep saying
kind of like a group of releases that have Warheads, Airheads, and other candy canes in them, something like that.
Hey, something just like that.
I unfortunately don't have
maybe
those.
Just in time for Christmas too.
Yeah, I would just grab them, but I don't have them close enough to just grab.
But yeah, I think as more and more beer floods the market from out of state, from in state, people are really going to have to figure out their identity and really roll with it. I think that's like my winter Christmas advice for my fellow local breweries. And
I think having a strong identity to begin with is important.
Yes.
You can't just be a brewery sitting there putting out beer.
I completely agree. When I think of like the breweries that, it's not necessarily that they're the best, but the breweries that I think are getting the most social media coverage by patrons, if you think about those breweries, they really do have a strong identity. And it's almost like, it's not even close. Like, Elder Pine, Sapwood, Silver Branch, Black Flag. Like when I think of these brands, it's like, oh no, I know exactly like what their wheelhouse is and what they're trying to accomplish. So yeah, I think it's pretty powerful.
So how do you decide what you're going to make again? So because Black Flag definitely is a brewery that brings back beers.
Yes.
So many breweries, if you had that beer that you loved, you may never see it again. It's probably not going to come back. but like Takeout is the one example I'm thinking of.
Mhm.
We came out with that at the beginning of this dumpster fire of a year.
Yep.
Actually, it was probably a couple months into
I think it was May or something, but
Yeah.
I mean, pretty early on.
But then you rebrewed it again.
Mhm.
Was that based on customer demand of wanting it, or when you made it, you just knew this is a phenomenal beer, we're gonna have to make this again?
Yeah, I think you really take into account like every factor, genuinely. Like how much did the team enjoy the beer? How much are customers in the tap room and buyers in the market saying that it did well for them? And I mean, just we are a business. Like, do we have access to more of these hops? Was the margin on this beer pretty good that would warrant a rebrew? Because there are some times where we brew a beer and we kind of ignore some of the cost restrictions. Like, hey, we're going to take a small loss on revenue for this because we just need to do this.
Yeah.
A good example is like the triple IPA that you have, Superhero, Out of Shape Superhero that we did with Ben Little. That beer was a little over price point, but we just wanted to add those hops. We needed.
I did not bring that into the lineup to drink today.
Probably a good idea. That
was a little too that was a little too high octane for me to
for sure
during this.
But yeah, it's we look at how did it sell super fast? Are people asking us again and again to bring the beer back? Did we really like the beer? And we kind of factor all that stuff in, and it's like, yeah, like we need another West Coast IPA. People are asking for this one. We got the hops in house. That batch of Strata hops was great. Let's rip it again.
I love a good West Coast IPA. So good.
So interesting to talk about. Like, I love West Coast IPAs too. But it's a reality. Like, why don't we make a ton of West Coast IPAs, right? Because we make a little bit here and there. But you look at like even when we release Takeout next to a hazy IPA, the hazy IPA sells twice as fast.
Oh, really?
Straight up sells almost twice as fast. So it's like, yeah, we still want to do a good amount of West Coast, but we can't just like throw them out there and throw them out there. We need to make sure things are moving and staying fresh and all that. So
I think a big problem I find with my perception of beer, especially now that I interact with so fewer people, is that I guess I'm part of the feedback loop now. Like, I'm only talking mainly to people who work at breweries or super into beer.
Yeah.
And so many people in that group are burnt out on drinking hazies and go cycling back to
that's such a fascinating point, because me not doing tastings, like that was kind of my pulse on the market. I would do a tasting
what the normal people
every week. And I taste 100 people in a night. They don't even know what a hazy IPA is, but they're tasting a hazy and they're like, oh, whoa, this is crazy. This like isn't bitter. It's like really smooth and like I kind of like it. Let me grab one. And it kind of keeps things in perspective, being able to talk to, the regular Joe that just is coming by. He's getting a 30 rack of Miller Lite and he wants to try out a new local IPA. Or, some lady comes by and she's like, hey, you got any fruited sours? I'm looking for something fruity. Or, hey, I like big stouts. What do you got? And it's like not being able to have those interactions with people definitely makes it a little tougher to kind of anticipate where the market's trending, what kind of the layperson wants to drink, and, all that kind of stuff. Just being able to interact directly with consumers makes such a big difference.
Yeah, because even like you're definitely very involved in Maryland Beer Drinkers Group, but that gives you almost no information. And
yes and no, but I agree.
Mean,
it's like it can be a deceiving, and the information you get can be wrong because it's a tiny little segment of everyone buying beer. Such a small.
Well, they're not normal beer drinkers.
No,
anyone that searches out a beer drinking group on social media is not a normal beer drinker.
Yeah, they're definitely.
While they may follow some of the same trends and do like buy the same things, it's not the same as you pulling up a stool at a liquor store and doing samplings for the average person that just does not care at all where their beer came from. They just want a beer.
They just want to drink a beer. They want the price to be right, and they want it to taste like something they want to taste. So for
like,
sure, man.
That's good research for passionate beer drinkers and people who know a lot about beer, but it's not a good sampling of what the larger market is.
Yeah, if Maryland Beer Drinker was the indicator of the market, I don't know if Duclaw would be in operation. But Duclaw makes pretty good beer, and they do extremely well in market.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, take everything with a grain of salt, so to say. But I do enjoy the antics on Maryland Beer. I think over the past year, it's gotten a little more friendly, and people are really being positive and supportive of brands. The one thing I'll say on Maryland Beer to my fellow brewery members, please start posting your beers. Use it as a marketplace. I don't want to be the only guy posting all my beers for sale. Trust me, seriously, post your beers. People love it. They do.
And I think that's a lot of, and what I've heard from people in the industry mainly is that they don't want to be looked at as like a shill.
Yeah,
or
I do.
like self-promoting. And I struggle with that too. Like I like to share episodes of Uncapped in the group or stuff, but I still like every time I do it, I pause and stop and think like I don't want to be coming off as like self-promoting or something.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
And then I just look at it from like, no, I'm not promoting myself. I'm trying to promote the brewery that I'm talking to. Like,
exactly, yeah.
It's more, I care more about getting that brewery story out than I'm promoting myself whenever I post it. So, and I agree with you. I think more breweries should, because a lot of people, that's where they're getting their idea of what's coming out.
They might not even know about, they might not follow your brewery page on Facebook, but they're on MD Beer. Yeah, I think if people realize that, hey, if someone finds it annoying that you're like posting or self-promoting, they're just going to ignore the post and move on. Like,
yeah,
it's really not going to ruin anyone's day.
Some people won't just ignore it, but
fair enough. I've never gotten any negative commentary from posting as much as I do, and I'm a bit of a frequent poster. So,
I'm a head out.
Yes.
Smells absolutely amazing.
I was really happy with how that one turned out.
I was about to pour it into the horn, but I feel like I need to get a proper glass.
It looks nice. It has a nice saturation on it.
So I'm thinking now might be a good time to take another quick sponsor break so I can go acquire some glassware to drink this one out of. So we will be right back.
Awesome.
There are many reasons why I have chosen District East for where I purchase beer. I love the flexibility of being able to make a custom six-pack or take home a crowler from one of the 8 beers on tap. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff do an amazing job at keeping a diverse selection on hand. You can even purchase artwork from the monthly featured artist. District East is located on Northeast Street in Frederick in the same shopping center as Family Mill and Rockwell Brewery. You can find today's beer lists on the District East Facebook page or at www.districteast.beer.
To all you craft breweries, wineries, and distilleries out there, listen up. Atlantic Custom Solutions is the real deal in providing you branded growlers, ceramics, glassware, and accessories like koozies, coasters, and keychains. Their high-definition digital printing, organic ink, and low-fire process ensures your brand is printed in ultra-high definition, giving you a one-up on the competition. We've used Atlantic Custom Solutions for Uncapped branded glassware and couldn't be happier with it. Check them out. Visit www.brandmybeverage.com or give them a call at 434-286-4500 to learn more about how they can help you brand your business. So I have my awesome zooted glassware glass to drink out of, which is one of the perfect ones for this.
I like that glass. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of the crazy glassware phase of beer, but that one actually has some practicality to it.
Well, I
like that.
Like sitting and drinking out of it, it's amazing too.
Yeah.
There is a slight glugging issue when it gets down to here.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm worried about is I don't know the status of the cleanliness of this glass. I just pulled it off of the shelf behind me. I did not put it on that shelf, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
So that means it was somewhere where my wife didn't want it to be. And there's minimal bubbles. Maybe I did clean it.
Cool.
Oh, we're good to go.
Nice. It's looking good.
I won't get shamed.
That IPA was a little bit of an ode to the IPAs of past.
Well, I saw Simcoe and Spritzer written there.
It's like that hop duo just reminds me of like 2014 to 2016 so much.
That you were right. That is a pretty beer. I should have saved this for a photo.
I can always get you another one. We have more haze coming down the line.
That is pretty.
Nice pour. Yeah, that fits perfect.
That's another great thing in this glass. I think it is.
It's a 16.
Yeah,
It's like 18 ounces even.
Yeah, it's 18 ounces, so
Awesome.
you can aggressively pour into it. It has the whole thing.
I'm a big fan of the aggressive pour.
You can sit, lounge on the couch, and the large top bowl makes it easy to just drink out of. I love this glass.
Cool. Well, cheers.
Cheers. So I'll give another Zooted Glassware. Search him out.
Glassware, everyone, check it out.
He makes he was a guest a few episodes ago. Awesome guy. Makes beautiful.
They did the giveaway with Saints Row, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
All right. What were we talking about? We were talking about trends, how you follow them.
Yep.
So you've mentioned a couple times the heavily fruited juice bomb
puree sours.
Yeah. Yep. Is that something Black Flag wants to get more into?
So we have made a few attempts at doing something to that effect.
This beer is so good, by the way.
Awesome, man. Good to hear. I think it has a nice little dankness to it, along with the citra. It's hazy and creamy, but it gives me a little bit of the old school vibes that I appreciate. So,
this is newly released, right?
Yes, we just released that one.
So this should still be available when this comes out.
Absolutely,
January 31st.
We just released that in the brewery last Friday, and it went into distro this week.
Okay. All right, sorry I interrupted.
No, you're good.
We were so good.
For the big fruited sours, we've done a few. We did the cobbler series, and those were pretty fruited. I mean, it was a lot of pounds of fruit, but it wasn't like a true puree bomb like people are looking for with, things like the Jambos or the Dreams, or even some of True Respite's new. Their taproom only variant was really nice. I forget what it was.
Is there Fruit Crushers?
Yeah, it was like the one they did just in the taproom though.
Smoothie Fruit Crushers.
Yes, and it just tasted like a mimosa. Essentially, it was delicious. Yeah. It was just fruit puree, very thick and juicy. So we've done a few trying to edge towards that, but we've never pushed the envelope in fears of like cans explosion and whatnot. But we are about to enact a new technique that we've tested now and are pretty confident in. And I don't know if I can speak more on that yet. But we will be releasing our first true puree bomb. If I'm not mistaken, it's sometime in February. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah. No, my mistake. Late January. And it's going to be called Big Fruit. Shockingly, that name wasn't taken.
That is shocking.
Blows my mind. So we took it. It's going to be a series of beers. I don't want to give away the first fruit iteration yet, but it's just going to be...
Should just tell me. Secret.
So I'll just be honest. I don't know what the first fruit iteration is yet. I think we just ordered the fruit though, probably from Oregon Fruits. They do pretty good stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a large proportion of fruit puree mixed with a soured ale.
How many pounds?
A pretty disgusting amount. There will be more puree than beer liquid, if that helps.
Jeez.
Yes. Or pretty close to 50-50. It's like a disturbing amount, yeah. So it will be pretty close to, that kind of thing that people are looking for. I hope it takes off well. I don't think the sour trends are going anywhere. So, yeah.
They're not.
We've had a lot of people request that we kind of put out a puree bomb. So we're pretty confident that we can do it and keep the product's integrity safe and not cause any explosions and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to the end of January.
So, and that's what you mean by you come up with a process to make them less explodey?
Yeah, I mean, nothing that I did myself. Brian talking to other people in the industry. I believe, honestly, Ben Little might have given some insight as well.
I was going to say, it probably can't because Ben figured out how to make his less explodey.
So we are going to do that and see what the customer demand is. We're starting with a small amount. It's going to be taproom only, obviously. It's not going to be a crazy big batch, but just to test it, see if people are really digging it, and kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean, it's something I wanted to do for a while, just a way to kind of push the envelope I like to kind of push the envelope in each direction. Like, okay, hazies, let's master that. Okay, people want fruit. Let's try to like get the fruit locked down. People want barrel aged cuvées. All right, let's start doing a little more barrel aging and start blending some stuff. So kind of spreading our reach a little bit and taking a little more risk, but baby steps. We want to make sure like we're producing a good product.
Yeah. Well, even with Ben, the regular Jambas, he said, are fairly safe, but the ones that he did with Imprint, the Schmambas, is that what they're called? Yeah, Schmambas.
Yeah, I think so.
He said those ones would get explodey.
Gotcha.
And those ones, I mean, pouring them was like a fruit smoothie.
Chunk, yeah.
So the mango one, I actually made a milkshake out of it, and it was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I've had a few of the Jambas, and they are exactly what they are, and they're very well done.
Well, the regular Jambas are really good, but that one he made with Imprint, where
I tried the Jamba.
It's barely liquid.
Yeah. Hey man, give the it's a classic line from Ben all the time too. Give the people what they want, man.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Fourscore, that they just Ben knows what his customers want, and that's what he's making, and God bless him for it, because I fall in line with his average customer.
Yeah, like everyone knows Ben's capable of making some really good classic styles, and he does. But that's separation. He's creating Fourscore to have their own kind of identity, and it's clearly working.
The Hellas Lager they make is amazing, but so is that beer that is half fruit.
Yeah, and I was enjoying a lot of the photo age sours that he had. He had a couple on when I visited, and those were really fun.
Yeah, those are like they're all good, basically. So is the long-term plan just that like big fruit will be like kind of like Jambas or Dan's Jams, where it's just you keep coming out with a different fruit?
Right. I could see that. I don't know if that's going to be our direction totally. I mean, it really just comes down to the release. Like if we release this beer and we have 50 cases in the tap room and we sell all of them out in a weekend, I have no doubts that, we'll be making more. I definitely don't think it's going to be to the frequency and volume of things like the Jambas and the Dan's Jams. It might be like a once a month thing or a once every other month thing, but we're definitely, I don't foresee us having the demand or it being like within our kind of style to just do like multiples again and again and again.
Can I make a bold prediction?
Yes.
They'll sell out fast. And people will buy them.
Cool. I mean, I'd love it, right?
No, I'm probably the only one that's going to say that.
Sure.
I'm really going out on a limb, but I bet people are going to like your fruit juice.
Awesome. I mean, the cobblers did pretty well. So I have hope. I think something that's even more exciting and spectacular, and when we start posting the photos of just like thick, rich puree, we might attract the masses. So.
People like a thick boy.
They do indeed.
What about candy? You gonna start throwing candy in beer?
I don't know. So part of me is like, I don't think it's copycatting. Obviously, if people want to use like Dan's Jams, they did really good with candy. Dewclaw did a Nerds candy. True Respite just released a couple candy sours. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to copy anyone, but I feel like candy has kind of been tackled by some local friends. So I'd probably steer clear. That being said, name any 3 fruits that are in puree form from Oregon Fruit. I can assure you that those combination of fruits has already been thrown into a sour. So it's like no one's really being super original anymore. Again, it's like about execution. Like, is it clean? Is it yummy? Is it true to form? But yeah, I don't know.
You can just look. Both Idiom and Kushwa just came out with ambrosia sours.
Dude, the Idiom version is
amazing.
It's like really sweet and rich, but it's not too sweet. Like I could actually drink a can of it, and it's rare that I'd want to drink a can of a heavily fruited sour. But like all the fruits like work so well. I was blown away. All
that
the
one, though, Idiom's fruited sours though aren't like the puree bombs though.
No. It's more similar to our like cobblers and Mako reactor.
Yeah.
It's pretty viscous and pretty heavy, but it's not just like a saturated bomb. But yeah, I mean, it's very sweet and rich and tart.
Yeah,
I mean, it was great. I was really impressed with that one.
Like those ones, I feel like you could put down too. You may not necessarily want to, but you could put down too.
Right. Yeah, they're drinkable.
There's never a time where I would sit down and drink 2 Dreams. Like
I did that 2 years ago on my birthday. I drank a whole 4-pack of the double blackberry or the double blackcurrant blackberry one.
That sounds
and
bad.
I didn't feel good. I literally didn't feel good that night for pretty obvious reasons.
Well, when my sister and I had to go up to Pittsburgh a couple months ago, and we stayed at a friend of mine's house, and I brought up one of every Dance Jams that had been released up into
oh man,
I think there were 10 of them, and between the 3 of us we drank all of them.
Oof.
And
yeah,
that was
I'm feeling the burn from here. Yeah.
I mean, they were delicious.
Absolutely, yeah. When
it was a less than great decision.
When I first got the Nerds Jams, I was pretty blown away. I thought those sours were probably the most accurate to description. Like they literally tasted like Nerds candies, and it was almost like weird. I was like, wow, this straight up tastes like I've never had a beer that straight up tastes like it's trying to taste like. So,
although I would argue their mango pineapple crisp one was the best one they've made.
Okay.
I'm
assuming that's yours.
Yeah.
I've only tried a few in passing. Not being able to, with COVID and not being able to go to bars like I used to and like do meetings at tap stations like I used to, I haven't been drinking quite as much local beer. I used to be quite an expert and try everything, but it's been tough lately.
So bringing that up, that previously, maybe not every brewery, but a decent amount of their business would be putting beer on draft. That is, I don't know what the percentages are, but they go from a really big drop off to 0.
Mm-hmm.
How have you been able to adapt to that?
We've been pretty fortunate. Black Flag, generally speaking, I think is a little more of a packaged brewery. We have a core lineup, obviously, but we don't have those very heavily locally recognized or even in a lot of places regionally and nationally recognized beers like, say, a Duckpin or, Monument's Rye. So in our purposes, we've been pretty nice with the limited releases, do very well in package. A lot of stores want those cans and the cans move pretty well. So we've been pretty lucky to pivot just the majority of our draft volume into extra cans. So just ordering more labels and changing the batch proportions over. Our distributors been pretty nice to us in taking on extra cans. They obviously place an order. They want X amount of cans and X amount of draft. With this second wave of the COVID shutdowns, they've obviously reduced their draft numbers. But in doing that, they've been willing to pick up more can numbers to compensate. So we really haven't had too much shift in production volume in that regard. We're kind of brewing what we were and just putting it in cans instead of draft. I'd be interested to see how data would work for some of those brands that are a little more reliant on draft sales. Because, you go to Baltimore, quite literally almost every corner bar has like a Duckpin draft line and a Monument Rye draft line. Black Flag's not a brand that necessarily has that. So it was definitely easier for us to pivot. And it's been
more of the regional size breweries probably got hits.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Other than like what you were selling through the tap room.
Sure. Yeah, like our tap room draft sales obviously are not doing great. But our pickup sales in the draft room are doing pretty well. So we're doing okay at Black Flag.
How have production volumes stayed? Have they continued to be high, or have you had to cut production?
So we're at Black Flag, we kind of just peaked on our production volume earlier in the year, and we've pretty much been maxing out our batches since. I'm not saying we're at 100% brew capacity, but we're pretty much maxing out every tank like 80-90% of the time on a beer batch. So year over year, we're brewing more beer. Which has been the trend since Black Flag opened. Every year, Black Flag's just brewed more beer. So I feel like we're very fortunate to not have had a hiccup. We're still like on that trajectory of increased growth. Now the margins on that growth are obviously inferior.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, it's much less profitable growth.
I mean, there's no need to beat around the bush. Selling a $7 snifter of a hazy IPA out of the tap room gets you way more money than selling a $16 4-pack. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. So
any individual can do the math on that and figure out.
It's pretty straightforward. So it's not like things are too bad for us, but certainly I think all local breweries are feeling a little bit of the brunt. In our case, the PPE loans helped a lot. We were able to keep everyone employed, helped us transition our production staff. We have our new guy, Alex, who started to help brew. So things are going okay. Honestly, things are going okay. I have a lot of hope with the early summer of next year that we really might get back to a place where we're rolling again. It's going to be a cold winter though. And I think there's breweries that probably have a little more concern than we do. And I really hope the best for them. And I'm going to personally try to keep supporting some of the little guys, some of the newer brands that are still kind of getting their feet wet in the scene and could use that extra growler sale, could use that extra t-shirt sale. So
yeah. You mean like last week's, or actually no, today I released the episode today. Homemade, who just opened 2 weeks ago.
I was just there 2 weeks ago. I bought a t-shirt, I bought some glassware. So yeah. I love those guys are very cool.
I bought one of their glasses too.
Nice. Yeah, I got the little sampler one. I just need like a little 4-ounce glass for like some big malt beers. So, but yeah, I like their branding a lot. It's really clean and kind of modern, but it feels homey. Like it feels like raw and artistic, I guess you could say.
And also made by uncapped sponsor ACS, brandbybeverage.com.
Nice.
Like how I worked that in there.
Hell yeah, I do.
So what would you say is the number one? So you see this posted because a million Facebook groups have cropped up about, at least in Frederick, they have like Frederick Local, Frederick Dine Out, all these things. People are always asking, what's the best way to help your favorite small business? Usually revolving around restaurants and breweries. Restaurants are probably the hardest hit in this. Well, restaurants,
they have a little more trouble with stuff. They're so high on packaging.
So what would you say is the number one way people can help make sure their favorite brewery is okay?
I think the best way to help your favorite local brewery is to buy like promotional related things. So yeah, buy a t-shirt and post about it and share it with your friends and let them know. I think also like buying product, not necessarily for you. Like obviously if you like the brewery, you're going to want to drink their beer, but it's more about like sharing that product. So, hopefully everyone's staying pretty socially distanced this season, but if you're going to hang out with a small group of friends or family, literally just bring a beer from that brewery. Be like, hey guys, check out this cool beer from this brewery. Let people know about the brewery and where they can get it. And it's really just like word of mouth. I think in the digital age, sometimes that's lost. But I want no one to mistake. Like just sharing with your friends something that you really like and telling them they should try it is a lot more powerful than just making a Facebook post. Really just engaging with the people around you. Now doing Facebook posts and sharing links and all that is super helpful too. Just being positive. But I think the best thing is to really share the products with like your tight circle of friends in person to like kind of let them know, like, you're kind of serious about it. This is something you care about. This is something that's meaningful and you like what they're doing.
Have merch sales gone way up? Because like observationally, it does seem like brewery merch sales have skyrocketed.
Yeah. So the one aspect of Black Flag that I have no hands in the cookie jar of is the tap room, with some exceptions. But as far like taproom sales, I don't know what our merch sales look like.
Okay.
Based on our order sizes, though, this year, I would say that, I would say they're up. I would definitely say they're up for us.
I mean, I'm just basing that on like there have been so many more new things.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
And like I'm not a business expert,
Yeah.
but I feel like breweries aren't going to be coming out with new hats, new glassware,
No,
new
that's
this,
not
new
exactly.
that.
You don't just make new swag if you have old swag on the shelf, right?
Yeah,
You
you're
only
not going
do
to.
that if you need to fill the void.
Yeah, you're not going to spend the money to buy more to just sit
Yeah.
there. Like
No brewery's putting a hazy IPA in the tank when you still have 4 on your shelves, so to say.
Yeah.
No, that's a smart comment. I think you're right. Yeah, just going off of like how much inventory I feel like we've brought in, I have to assume like it's going pretty well. We have had a couple deals over the past couple of weeks with swag too. We had like our 12 days of Christmas thing, so we had like a couple discounts over the past couple of weeks, which I know helped move a few extra units. So, swag is a great way to support because you're giving the brewery free marketing, you're wearing the branding, and you paid for it. Win-win for us.
Yeah. And you've just explained why you would be the wrong person to ask this to, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah.
What typically sells the most? Hats, T-shirts, or glassware?
Definitely unisex T-shirts that are black for us. Our bestseller I think we've kept the shirt in stock for 3 years now. It's just our unisex Maryland flag, Black Flag T-shirt.
Was one thing you never can second guess with a Marylander is that they're going to love
the flag works. Yeah. Specifically the large size. I'll even add that large.
The Marylanders love that flag.
Yeah.
I'm not even a native Marylander, and I love stuff with the Maryland flag on it.
Yeah. I used to kind of like hate it because it was like it's just like it's so there. But I've kind of come around. I've been in Maryland my whole life. I've never moved anywhere else.
But then you look at it and you realize, no, it's actually pretty cool.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, it's pretty intricate. It's like colorful and like designed and stuff. You look at other flags and they're kind of blah. So yeah, rep it while you can.
So one of the editors at the FNP had written an editorial disparaging the Maryland flag. And oh my,
name right there.
Oh my, did he catch a lot of flack for that?
That's hilarious.
I mean, I'm going to stop just short of saying he received death threats for it, and he may even have.
Crazy. Yeah, not much can go between Marylanders and their flags, I guess.
So yeah, I mean, I think if I owned a business, I would probably just slap the Maryland flag on everything.
Yeah, that works. And to be fair, for out-of-state people too that are visiting, they kind of like it because it's like, oh, it's a little piece of like the state culture as well, So it works out. Yeah,
because people do like if you're traveling and visiting places,
you like T-shirts and glassware from a brewery they visited that they'll never be back to. So
yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah, I mean, before Untapped, it was you collected coasters, as I understand it.
I never got into that. The only thing I've ever collected way too much of from breweries
beer.
Well, no, that's supporting. Glassware, which is obviously a current problem of mine. Hats. I have an obscene amount of brewery hats and stickers.
Yeah.
Like I have stickers that haven't been applied to anything everywhere from breweries.
Good. I'm jealous. I love stickers. Every time I go to I feel bad kind of because I'm like a rep, but I try to promote everyone, so I kind of justify it. But I love just going around and getting a sticker from every single booth there. I'm not gonna lie, I love stickers.
I don't know. I'd have to dig around a little bit too much, but I'm sure this desk drawer has a huge stack of stickers in it. So buy merch.
Buy merch and share that merch with your friends.
And share the beer. Buy the beer and share it. Grab a crowler.
Grab a crowler, share it with friends.
How are crowler sales? So, because you can pretty much, do you release anything that's not canned?
We do. Crowler sales for us are, I don't know if hit or miss is the right term because it's not surprising. It's like we did the Baja Bell beer. That was crowler only. We sold 200 crowlers in like a day. You know what I mean?
Why'd you do crowler only for that?
It was just a small batch. So if we we have a couple 2-barrel pilot fermenters.
So that was really small batch.
Really small. So it's so inefficient to can off of those. There might be a chance we do in the future, but just generally speaking, it's so inefficient we would just not do that.
That makes sense.
So yeah.
It's a lot of work to get the line set up. And
it's a lot of waste. So, if you can sell it all in Crowlers, cool. But that was a beer that like crushed it in Crowlers. We have other beers like that are a little more malty. Like we did a Cockbusser beer. It's like a French table beer with like honey and molasses or something. I might be completely off on the style, by the way. But, we only sold a few dozen of those Crowlers in the day. So the hypey stuff in Crowlers does super well. The stuff that's a little more standard or, just like a good beer, but not exciting, it might not do as well. But generally, Crowlers do pretty well for us. We move a good amount. Go on.
Go ahead.
I was just not all of our beer does get crowlered. Like you said, we package most things, and if we have packages of it, we pretty much tell people, hey, just get the package.
I recognize I am very abnormal for beer consumption or any of my buying trends, but to me, a crowler's useless. I rarely want a crowler. One, because I'm ridiculous and I'm probably going to take a photo. And a crowler just doesn't look cool in a photo as a can does.
Yeah.
And then two, especially now, it's rare that I'm going to drink a whole crowler of something myself.
One beer, yeah.
If I'm going someplace, I'll take crowlers of beers to share with people. But
yeah, it's I don't love crowlers at all. And I don't want to be too harsh on crowlers.
I mean, I like them way better than growlers. Let's
agree with that. Yeah. It's just, at the end of the day, we're talking about a product that is so vulnerable to oxygenation. And you can't, when you can a beer, you're avoiding the vast majority of that. You can't really avoid that when you're crowlering. You just can't, people can pretend and say, and I'm just going to really strongly disagree, it's just not a great vessel to keep beer stored. Now, if you're getting a crowler and you're drinking it the next day or two, fantastic. Yeah. If it's a beer that's not in cans and it's great and you want to take it home, fantastic. But generally speaking, I would pretty much 99 out of 100 times say you should buy packaged beer over a crowler.
Oh, if the option, unless I looked at it and the can was 5 months old, but then I would just second guess getting anything from that brewery.
5 months old too, So yeah, I don't want to dismiss crowlers too much. They're pretty good margins. A lot of breweries have done very well as a result of them. There's a lot of breweries that, due to COVID, crowlers were kind of their lifeline.
They didn't have any wet package.
I don't want to be too harsh, but generally speaking, as a consumer, away from the business side, I am not a crowler fan. I just don't. It's not for me. Yeah.
But if I'm at a brewery that doesn't have cans, though, then
If they have a vintage barrel aged stout and I'm going to a beer share with a buddy or two, cool. I'll take a crowler of it. But
that's also what I love, the 25-ounce crowler.
Yeah. Wait. I just had one of those from Midnight Run, I think.
Yeah. Well,
the barley one.
Was it gold?
Yeah, and it was really cool. I was like, wait, this is smaller than
no, they're the 25-ounce ones there aren't gold. Their full-size ones are gold because they're ballers. But their small one, the 25-ounce ones, and that's the first place I ever saw those. And I was like,
I didn't even know they existed.
Because there's no way I could drink a full crowler of a Midnight Run beer.
Yeah.
So
I think it's great though. Yeah. For a beer like that, exactly. No one really needs 32 ounces, and you can kind of charge a little bit less for it and make the consumer charge a little bit less, or, get a little bit better margin on a really high cost beer. So yeah, I think it's cool. It's kind of like when breweries will do the 11-ounce pours instead of 13-ounce pours on a high cost beer. It makes sense for certain things.
Yeah. Jugbridge has the 25-ounce ones now too.
Cool.
Those are the only two places I've ever seen them. I love that crowler size.
I wonder if it's I wonder if that's partly a result of the crowler shortage too, because there were a few months earlier in the year where people were having trouble getting crowlers.
I think Midnight Run always
they just dug them. Cool.
Yeah, and that may be a function of that. So many of their beers are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% ABV. Sure. And me, and the other people who can't handle
right. Yeah, that's still 6 ounces for everybody. That's plenty,
Yeah. So I think that may be why. I'll have to ask them. I'll be curious if it had anything to do with COVID, but I'm pretty sure pre-COVID they were offering the 25-ounce ones.
Cool.
And I think it was because people like me just can't handle 32 ounces of a 10% beer, which is almost 50% of their draft lineup. But they also they're one of the breweries that bought a Gosling during this time,
Ooh,
so
yeah.
they'll be coming out with 4-packs of
It's really
beer
good
soon.
time.
How much George hair ends up in every can of Black Flag beer?
In the cans, none. In the
Okay.
packaging, in the pack text where I snap, you snap the pack text on the cans.
Yeah.
Definitely out there. I consider it a blessing if anyone's experienced that. You can call me directly, and I'll compensate you with an extra piece of hair.
For anyone who has never seen George or is listening to this and not watching, George has an exceptional amount of hair.
It does turn up at the brewery, I will admit. I'm getting old, so I'm starting to lose it now.
I'm surprised they don't hairnet you as soon as you walk in.
Well, fortunately, I don't do any of when I'm helping out with production, I tie it back. But
Okay.
fortunately, I'm just a thinking guy, and I'm on the road nowadays, so not too much packing out for me.
You had mentioned that Black Flag has a bottle club coming out.
Indeed,
Can you
yes.
tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I'm pretty excited about this. It'll be a fun little venture. We have a 20-barrel brew house. It kind of operates like a 15, but so it's hard for us to do small batch beer.
Explain that first.
It's just the brand of brew house and how the water efficiency works.
Okay,
We use an APE system. So it's a 22-barrel brew house, but for certain higher ABVs, it's not as efficient.
Okay.
But
sorry, go back to bottle.
Yeah, but so given that, like, it's hard for us to brew small quantities of beer, and sometimes to do like really weird and experimental and heavily flavored and intricate things, you kind of have to do a smaller volume of beer. And as I was just explaining, Chris, for our 2-barrel brights, we really can't can off those. It's just so inefficient. So for a way for us to do like single barrel aged beers, for a way for us to do really high ABV beers, getting the bottling line enables us to have pretty efficient packaging runs where we're not taking on a ton of loss. So we can do those kind of fun, exciting beers without dumping a ton down the drain. So we have a couple barrel-aged beers on the docket, and we have a couple high ABV stouts, perhaps another multi-varietal on the docket as well. And we'll be releasing these throughout the year, pretty much every quarter, essentially. So if you're in the bottle club, you'll have first access to these. We have a custom glass for you. But a lot of the beers that we'll be releasing through the bottle club, there will be a few extra bottles that will be going out to the general public. And we do intend to release some other just bottles throughout the year that aren't necessarily bottle club only, but just, fun bottles that we'll have. So it feels like over the past couple of years, there have been a few breweries that have kind of set the bottling trend in motion. And I think we're at a pretty good time for us to kind of venture to it. We have some ideas, and we have some blended barrel-aged beers kind of going right now that we intend to use in the future. So it should be pretty freaking cool. I'm pretty excited for it. It's the first time we've done like a club exclusive kind of thing at Black Flag. So the demand was pretty shocking. We sold our memberships out in like 2 hours, which blew my mind. I thought it would take a couple days. So there's 100 memberships. Every member is given a bottle that they've already paid for. And yeah, if you're a member, you also get liberty to grab extra bottles before they go to sale for the general public.
I find it interesting that craft breweries, once they destroyed the perception that good beer is bottled, to that the perception that like even myself, like I can't tell you the last time I bought beer in a bottle.
Yep.
Although even they're shifting to cans now.
Yep.
Great Lakes is probably the last beer because they make phenomenal beer. So their beer is so good. Like if you want a beer style made perfectly, Great Lakes is one of the places to go to. And they bottle, but because of the trends, they're shifting to cans.
Yep.
So now that that's happened, craft breweries have decided, you know what, I'm going to put my special beer in bottles now.
Yep. It is funny. I think it's it kind of goes back to the optics thing. I think people just perceive if you have a 500 milliliter bottle that it's like, oh, this is specialty and like a little more nuanced.
And you put some wax on it.
Exactly. And I mean,
parchment paper.
Okay, we don't have to beat around the bush. Those, the breweries selling those bottles, like they're sold at a little bit of a premium cost. So it's a good way to make exciting small batch volume that actually like makes sense for the brewery to do, because it's profitable enough. Because I guess this is a weird thing. Like when you're talking about like labor hours and man hours, like brewing a 2-barrel batch for like a place like Black Flag, it pretty much requires the same labor as brewing a 20-barrel batch. So it's like the actual cost of producing that liquid is so much more when you do small batch beer. So you kind of have to charge a premium. And charging a premium on like 16-ounce cans or something, it doesn't feel as good. But if you do like a really nice artisanal, well thought out, hard labored, 500 milliliter, $12, $16 bottle with wax, it's like all of a sudden that really kind of like hand to hand production, like fine touch, it starts to make sense and it works. So yeah, I credit people like Sapwood, Elder Pine, and some others, Suspended even, for making like the bottling thing a bit of a popular upcoming.
Aslan started to do that too.
Certainly,
a lot.
yes, absolutely, yeah.
One of my
pretty crazy, but the beer is pretty sensational. I admit that Aslan's stouts are some of the best I've ever had, genuinely.
There's a brewery up in Pittsburgh. I brought them up a lot because they're probably the first craft brewery in Pittsburgh that I ever experienced. It's East End Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done a lot of really interesting, unique, cool things over the years. But one thing I love that they still do it, but it's not quite as unique because they got away from the bottling part of it. And I think they can the beer, but every year they make a barley wine called Gratitude, and it was like a thank you to our customers.
Yeah,
and they would and like they were tiny for the longest time, and they would have a bunch of volunteers come in to help with the bottling, and they were made with like almost paper mache, sort of like plastered kind of onto the bottle, so like people come in and help them bottle, and then they were dipped in wax. Each year had a different colored wax. And I don't like barley wine, but I still almost bought one when they had a vertical that they sold, and I think it may have been 10 years, but may not have been that long, but because they always held back a certain amount every year.
So they had like 10 bottles from like the past years, like
yes, and then every year you could buy like a mixed pack of a vertical, and then like there was one year where they just sold, like they decided we're gonna release all of our old ones, and I want to say it was 10 years, but I don't think that's right. I think that's too long. Maybe it was 5.
Crazy.
where you could buy the whole vertical of every version of it they had ever made. Yeah. And each year, like it was a different bird on the packaging, and they were just beautiful bottles. You definitely Google it whenever we're done talking. Or, I mean, do it now if you want to. But they're beautiful. Like just the bottle was almost as much of a piece of art.
It's like art,
beer. So I think there is that level of like you can do those extra cool things with a bottle and make the experience special.
Right. And just going off of that, beyond that, I think it's almost essential. I think it's almost the responsibility. Like I give them a ton of credit. I think it's almost the responsibility of the brewery to be like, hey, we're charging you a little bit of a premium for this premium product. Like we want to dazzle you. Like it's our job to make sure that this product meets the standards of what we're charging you for it. So, I mean, any way you can kind of advance that feeling, because at the end of the day, beer it's as much of like a product as it is like an experience and a feeling and kind of sharing with those around you. And if you have a really nice bottle with a really nice, fun kind of concept behind it, and you're able to kind of figure out what the people who made it, what their intent was with it, it just kind of elevates it all together.
Oh, actually, they even have on their website, it probably was 10 years, because they have on their website the definitive gratitude guide, where they give a rundown of like what the bird was, what the color of the wax was, and a bunch of other.
Oh wow, that's wild.
Because I was trying to find a photo.
Yeah, I think they have one on the page, but it's kind of Small and grainy. Yeah, that looks cool though. Those bottles do look great.
And the
That's
owner,
cool.
one of the nicest guys I've ever met too. Awesome guy, Scott Smith. Also, I need to do another
Yeah,
episode with them.
that look and feels super classy. I love that.
Here, I think there we go. If you actually, now I feel at this point like I have to post this photo with this episode. And if you're watching, you will now see
Yep, that's the one I'm looking at.
That's the
It's so cool.
So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I think it must have been 10 years. So when they hit 10 years, you could buy the full spectrum of everything they had. It was like $250 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it so bad. I was like, I don't like barley wine at all. Like I would be buying it purely just because
the art. Yeah. The art and the idea behind it.
Just because I think it's a cool idea.
It's really cool. I like that. Absolutely.
But so you should do something like that. Save some and then do a vertical sometime.
Yeah. I'm into it. We did start doing that a little bit. Like we just held, not anywhere near to the same extent, but we held back like 5 cases of Black Mage, and we just sold those over the weekend. A little pop-up release on Saturday, and people went crazy for it. So it's tough though. I think there's a balance to like holding back vintage beer. And then it's like at the same time, like, you know, it's a business and you kind of need to make your profits on the production you did. So kind of comes, you know, it's like goes back to like, hey, as long as what you're doing is good and you find your kind of niche and your image, then roll with it and people will dig it.
So what else does Black Flag have on the horizon?
A couple more fun projects that are coming down that I'm excited about. We are doing Mylar Warlock, which is kind of the keystone to the Wizard series. It's going to be another triple IPA. That one will be out in early January.
So are you all nerds? Are you the nerd? Brian's the nerd? Or
Brian is definitely a nerd, and I'm definitely a nerd as well.
Okay.
A lot of the gaming and nerdy reference beers definitely come from us. The Wizard series was my concept. It was kind of like I came up with it like late last year, and it was kind of like we were getting to a point where we kind of were honed in on like what people liked from us, what we did well. And I felt like we were at a point where we kind of had like all this artwork and all these concepts, and they were kind of like darting in all different directions. And it felt like, whoa. Let's slow down for a second. Like, how do we like bring this all together and come up with like a series of beers where they're all different from each other, but they're all similar enough to where people will be like, oh yeah, like that's that series from Black Flag. Like this is the new one. I got to try it. I love the last one. And it just felt like Mylar Wizard did so well for us. And I think wizardry is like a very marketable thing. And with nerds, it like makes sense. And brewing beer can be a little wizardly. So it was just kind of like, you know, let's roll with this kind of like wizard series. Flame Wizard I specifically chose so people would literally use flame emojis. So it's almost sometimes like simpler than you even think. But
Vanish came out with a beer named Fire Emoji.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing where like, you know, people post it, they start spamming emojis, it looks fun, and it just like it's like the little things kind of just like trying to relate to people and get them excited about your product, so they kind of sell it for you, so to say.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, we've started doing a little more of the series beers. We got the 2020 series. Next year we'll be doing the template series. And the template series actually stemmed from an MD beer conversation where people were asking like, hey, why don't breweries just like add more information on their cans? Like, why can't I know all the hops and all the malts and like the gravity and all, like, why can't I just have all this information? So
do people really care about that though? Like
I don't know.
People?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't. I literally could care less.
Well, maybe we'll just scrap my idea then, Chris. How about
no,
that?
I know. Like there's a lot of breweries that do that, and I'm just wondering.
Right.
Like, I perfectly realize that I'm not a normal beer drinker. Like
Sure, yeah. I think it's I think the people that do care really appreciate it, and the people that don't care, I think it's just another thing on the label. You kind of just it's whatever.
You're not like I'm not going to drink this beer. They told me what's in it.
Right, but I think it's like with so many breweries and like so many hazy IPAs, for example, it's like I think guiding people to understand why they like one product over another benefits people that are doing a really good job. And it's not to dismiss anybody, but if you're making really high quality, true to style, consistent beer, it's almost like you want to tell people like, hey, like I'm not trying to be an ass, but like this is really what it's supposed to be like. And let me give you the information of why it is like this. So in the future, you can be a little more informed when you make your next decision. Like, unless you're like reading all the hops and like reading all the malts and talking to people who know a little bit more than you really can't figure it out. It's like pretty complicated. Like, I feel like I know very little about like beer, and I've been dealing with beer for 4+ years now. So I can only imagine as a consumer where there's like there's kind of a veil of information between like the production world and what hits your shelf. And I guess it's like, I would like to kind of lift that veil a little bit.
And the thing is though, like I feel like the hop used has become less and less of a marketing point for hazy IPAs and stuff lately.
I would agree, yeah.
That like, for a while it was like Galaxy, this is Galaxy. And now there isn't nearly as much of a big deal made about what hop is being used.
Yeah.
Do you think that's from people getting burned from that 1 year of Galaxy hops just being awful?
I actually think that's a huge component of it. I think it's more than that too. I think it has to go with like the way I view it. There are only a few hops that I think are like kind of offensive to me. And it's not even. What's up? Idaho 7.
Idaho 7.
I love Idaho 7. So it's like, I think it's like more how people use it. Like Sabro doesn't really align with me very well. But like True Respite just did their anniversary Sabro Deepa, and it was a really good IPA. I mean, it was good. I just don't like Sabro. So I think it's like, if the breweries are making good beer, the hops don't matter as much. Whereas it used to be the case where the breweries making like the best hazies were only using Citra and Galaxy. Now everybody's using Citra and Galaxy or Mosaic. So it's like, it's not as special because some bad IPAs are using these hops now too. It's not just like the cool, exclusive, expensive club, I guess is like the way I kind of put it. But no, I think that bad Galaxy crop, I mean, I can tell you as a brand from Black Flag, we were using Galaxy a ton, and we've been really lightening up our usage as a result directly of that crop. So, yeah.
Yeah, because even when it was horrible, you were still having to pay like $30 a pound for it, right? And then you get
20, yeah.
And then you get in an almost unusable product.
Yeah, like we would have batches where we would be adding like for like a 20 barrel, in the blend, we'd add like, 22, 44 pounds of Galaxy or whatever. And it was like, this is like really green and gross. So we were dropping it down to like 11 pounds in the dry hop of Galaxy alongside like Citra Mosaic. And it's like at 11 pounds, it was actually solid. Like it wasn't overly offensive, but yeah, Black Flag is not the only brand that ran into Galaxy issues. I know that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw plenty of breweries.
Sapwood had trouble with it. I forget who else said they were having trouble with Galaxy, but yeah, it's numerous people.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people I had talked to that hadn't even posted publicly about getting in subpar. That said to me too, like that it was 2018, right? Was that the crop year?
You're correct. Yeah, because it was funny because we used 2017 for a batch, and I was like, "Oh, why can't we use the fresh stuff?" And it's like, "No, trust me, like we want to use the 17. It's good."
Are there any trends in craft beer that you just absolutely hate and you wish it would go away?
Absolutely hate and wish it would go away. I'm generally not that kind of a guy. I like if there's something that really annoys me and I think it's like an inaccuracy of truth. I know that sounds goofy, but like it's like, oh, why do people like this? They're so silly. Like I guess for me, it's like, well, I'm just gonna try to convince them that they're wrong, not just call them idiots. So there's nothing really. It's funny because a lot of people complain about where beer is. There's nothing I really dislike about beer right now. I don't know. There's nothing I really dislike. I guess I would like the only thing that actually upsets me about beer is when people call their hazy IPAs and they're clear. But it's like I don't know if it's like a production issue or they don't know what they're doing or
what if all the flavor profile and the body and everything match what a hazy IPA should be, and it just is clear instead of.
So I would argue that it can't if the beer's clear. I don't think it can match if the beer's clear. You just don't like. There's a saturation in there, and it just isn't the same.
I have definitely had clear hazy IPAs that tick every box except for the clarity of the beer itself.
I have not had that experience. I'm a bit particular. I find that haze saturation is so much of softening the hoppiness and adds so much to like the mouthfeel that I haven't experienced that. I'm not saying they don't exist. I think flavor profile you can get pretty close on, but I don't think you can match like the texture. And I think for me, that's why I like hazies, because of the texture more so than the flavor necessarily. But I mean, things happen. Black Flag, a couple years ago, we released a couple hazy IPAs that were not hazy. But it's beyond that. Like I'm more talking about some of the large macro brands that are just slapping it on the can to sell it. And it's like, yeah, they're using modern trendy hops. Yeah, it's like unfiltered and kind of cloudy.
Oh,
but
I know who you're talking about.
Actually get like that haze generation, it's like a specific process. And it's done in a very particular way. And if you're not going to do that, then just don't call the beer that, I guess.
Yeah. I would argue that people need to stop complaining about beers they don't like being made and being popular.
That's actually so good. Yes. That actually is my complaint. It's like, dude, send me a message. I will find you the crispy lager you're looking for. Please message me. I'll find you the best quad in the state. Just message me. I got all the answers. Yeah, no, you're completely right, man.
Like Idiom, they put out tons and tons of hazy IPAs and sour beer. They just put out an amazing Helles lager.
Yep, I love their Kolsch.
Yeah, their Kolsch is really good too. You've mentioned Ben Little a few times.
Yep.
They have your dessertiest of pastry stouts, the thickest of your fruit puree beers, and hazy beers galore, and amazing lagers.
Yep. Got some dark lagers, got some wild fermented fodder aged sours.
We'll cram a ton of candy into a sour beer, and they sell an absolutely amazing lager.
It's so true. There's not a brewery in the state that doesn't tackle some of these quote unmade styles. Like they're out there. I'll concede there's not 20 Pilsners on the shelf from every brewery in Maryland.
But why do you like there aren't that many different flavors of a Pilsner?
Exactly.
Like you don't need that many options of a Pilsner. Like you just get a good one.
And the thing is, there's still a ton of good ones too. There's still a dozen of them.
Almost every brewery that makes the hype beers and the trendy beers has an amazing Pilsner too. Imprint Brewery. They make beers that are but you can barely pour them. They almost clump. They have an absolutely amazing Czech Pilsner.
Ooh,
Stop complaining about what other people like.
Yes.
Let them enjoy their sugar-saturated beer.
Seriously, yeah.
And enjoy what you enjoy. Everyone will be much more happy.
Yeah, I completely agree. That is something I overlooked, and I'm in 100% agreement. There's something out there for everybody. I think
but no one should ever make a smoked beer. That's where I draw the line.
I do too, actually. Not even joking, but I can do like 4 ounces of a Rauch beer, but those hit me kind of hard. I'm also opposed to peated whiskey. I like Macallan. I'm like a sweet whiskey kind of guy.
I hate peated whiskey too. I just don't like that smoked flavor
it's a lot.
liquids.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm the same way. I love smoked meats. but give me like a nice Belgian double to drink with my smoked meat,
Yeah. But I'm the same thing. Like I can't stand a peaty whiskey. I like
Yeah.
whatever, however you say that word properly. I pronounce everything wrong, so it's no surprise that I wouldn't know how to say that properly. But peaty Scotch,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no reason to ever make a smoked beer. But I'm not. Actually, I probably will make fun of someone who like them because I hate them that much. But I'm not going to say they shouldn't be made. Just don't offer me one.
At the end of the day, if you, as a brewer or an owner, really want to make a style and you're confident you can sell through it, then do it. But obviously, the consumer has to keep it in perspective that a brewery can't just make weird, quirky styles and stay afloat. You just can't brew large batches of uncommon beer and do well. It's tough. So, that's why I give a ton of credit to places like Elder Pine, Silver Branch, Chesapeake. I mean, these are breweries that are doing pretty old school, clean,
and doing well.
And they're doing well. Exactly. Like there's room for it. If everybody just made Hell's Lagers, no one would sell any Hell's Lagers.
And the thing too, like if you go
things that sell for them, it'll all work out.
And if you go into a brewery and they have 3 fruited sours, 5 hazy IPAs, and then one lager, just order that one lager if that's what you want. Who cares if the majority of what they're selling is not what you want? If they have what you want, just get that and be happy.
Yep. Or, I'm not going to lie. When I'm thinking, like, on a Saturday when I want to go to a brewery, I'll just peep a few tap lists, be like, oh, they have a few beers I want. I go there,
Yeah, that works too.
At the end of the day, like, if you are demanding that there's more classic beers and stuff, just spend all your money on the breweries doing that, and I assure you that's your best likelihood of being satisfied.
And they will keep making it.
Yeah, they will. People want to produce beer that's going to sell. If people were drinking quads like they drink hazy IPAs, we'd be making a ton of quad ales. We just would. We would.
Turns out a brewery is a business, and business owners like money.
Yeah, indeed. Because
that's what it takes to
keep like a paycheck. So
yeah. It's weird how that works.
Wild.
What is a trend in beer that you wish there was more of?
I think we're slowly getting there. I'm really digging a lot of the off malty style barrel aged beers. So like our barley wine's a decent example. Waradaka had a barrel aged ESB called the Whistler like late last year or early this year, I forget. Things like that. I think some of the new breweries too, like Steinhardt, they're pretty big into the malty styles. I'm excited to see if they do some barrel aging stuff. But yeah, really, I think definitely the malty barrels, which is overall barrel aging. I've been loving a lot of Sapwood sours. I really enjoyed Elder Pine's new sour that was barrel aged. I'm enjoying some of the fodder play we're seeing, like Ben Little and Elder Pine. They both have some wooden foeders that they age stuff in.
Or Daka is also doing great stuff with their foeders.
I haven't had many other foeders, but like I said, that the Whistler ESB they did, I was drinking it over at Gillies. I think it was late last year. I was just like, this is amazing. Like, this is the kind of stuff I want, like nice complex malt, I like the hazies and all that, but more and more I just gravitate towards easy drinking malty stuff. A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of wood age. It's kind of my go-to.
What is the best thing that 2020 has brought you? Because I'm just going to assume there's a whole bunch of crap. So name something good.
Related to like Black Flag and beer, or just in general?
Both. One of each. The best thing in beer, and then
the best thing in beer 2020 has got me. I think with the shift of being a little more taproom oriented for to-go sales, and like being a brand shifting to packaging, and me not doing events as much, it kind of shifted my role within the company so that I have a little more managerial say and kind of I can call shots now. I feel like I have a little more control over like our systems and production, and like I feel like I'm a little more entrenched in how we operate, which I think I like it. I like having a little bit of that power, honestly. But more importantly than that, I think I'm well equipped to execute well for Black Flag. So I'm just grateful that the way the year has shifted has put me in a position where I think I can do a better job for Black Flag, given that I have a little more responsibility, if you kind of get what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I feel like the past few months I've had some really good ideas that have been successful, and I'm excited to see if me and our brewer can kind of push forward into the new year and keep that up. So
Awesome.
as far as like personal gains, so I got my car fixed last week. We actually had to reschedule this. First time in a year my check engine light hasn't been on. I'm not trolling. I feel so good about that. I feel secure on the road. It's tough, man. I drive around a lot, so for me to like leave my car in the shop for like 2 days to get it fixed. So I finally got it fixed. This is like the second time I took it to the shop to get the same issue fixed. I took it back before our anniversary. So yeah, my car's fixed. I'm feeling good. I'm
no
ready.
Check engine lights.
Yeah, no lights on the dash at all.
I don't think I could drive around with a check engine light on. It would cause so much anxiety in my.
So much stress. Yeah.
Although I do have one that turns on every once in a while because some evap thing. So I just turn it.
Yes, mine was an evap issue.
Okay.
I was aware of it. It wasn't too damning. I just had to find the time to take it in. So I'm just, glad it's all settled. I'm feeling good. Ready for 2021.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to cover or talk about?
I think we covered the big talking points. So I think we covered some important things on the horizon for Black Flag. Got a little insight into what I do and kind of how we're operating moving forward.
How do people find Black Flag?
Best place to check out Black Flag is on Instagram or Facebook. We are Black Flag Brewing Co. So Black Flag Brewing Company, just co. We post updates regularly. We have a new beer every week. Our tap room is operating safely and at limited capacity. We will be open through the whole season unless anything with COVID changes. So we have a release every Friday, small batch beers to go. So come on by, swing by if you haven't checked us out. We're available at retailers across Maryland as well. If
District East always has a nice selection of Black Flag.
Supporters in Frederick, really good guys over there. If you can't find our beer on the shelves at your local shop, feel free to message us on Facebook. We can reach out and see what we can do, or just talk to the shop and be like, hey, any way you could get some Black Flag beers in here? I've heard a good thing. I'd like to try them out. So but thanks everybody who has been supporting us or has any curiosity. And Chris, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for spending your Christmas Eve afternoon with me.
Absolutely. I'm feeling good now. I got a beer in me. About to go enjoy some Christmas Eve dinner, crack a nice bottle of French wine.
Nice.
It's going to be a good evening. So, thanks for setting up my day, man.
Fancy over there.
I'm going to drink some barley wine too, so it's all good.
All right. Come back and slum it with our beer drinkers.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, George.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Cheers.
I'll talk to y'all soon. Cheers.